Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in 24 degrees of Scorpio, which will be exact on May 14th at 3:16 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, or 12:16 p.m. West Coast time in the US, which is also LA time. Now, the full moon is always an extroverted, more relationship oriented time where we're working through things, possibly with other people or within ourselves. And it's all about balance, finding a balance. So, for the next 2 weeks, we're looking for balance between the Taurus energy and the Scorpio energy. Now, the Taurus energy, which we had a new moon in Taurus a couple of weeks ago, which was also a solar eclipse, that was all about the physical attachments and connections we have to our physical world, to our physical bodies, to the things we own, the things we have, and that's symbolized, that's connected to Taurus. Then the Scorpio energy has more to do with our emotional attachments and connections to other people and to ourselves. So things we feel passionate about, things we feel emotionally connected to. That's the Scorpio. Now, it's really important to realize that these deep, authentic connections that we have with ourselves and with other people, which are represented by Scorpio, are also defining very much and helping us define and understand what we value most in the world. You know, what is it that's important to us? And that's the Taurus energies, our values, right? So it's very important to know that these connections are a really big part of our existence in order to see what's important to us. Now, Moon in Scorpio, of course, urges us to really connect to our own power. It urges us to connect to our passions. And it's also, in order to feel fully empowered, we need to let go of any fears that we're holding on to, or any kind of limiting habits or behaviors that we have in our lives. So it's really the Scorpio process, or the Scorpio energy is the process of letting go and dispersing of things that are disempowering us, that are keeping us in a lower vibration, so that we're really able to look at all the things in our lives and embrace everything that's us, so that we can bring light to it and move ourselves to a higher vibration that is being expressed, and then through our passions that we have towards life, towards people, towards certain causes or meaning that we're creating in our lives. That's the Scorpio energy. Now, when we embrace all of who we are, we're really connecting to a deep love inside of ourselves, and we're connecting to our inner power through that love. And so it's very important to distinguish, when are we acting from love and when are we acting from fear? Because there is the empowerment process is always connected to love. The disempowerment process, which is the flip side of it, is always connected to fear. So we really want to pay attention to, when does fear show up? Because that's a clear sign that we're probably using force in our lives, and that we're using a disempowerment energy towards ourselves or other people. Now, this particular full moon is definitely an emotional time, because it is in Scorpio, which is an emotional sign. But we're definitely being invited with this Scorpio energy to let go of any fears and break through to the next level of our evolution. And this is also, of course, signified by this Grand Cross that's still in effect between Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto, which we've been talking about in the last several videos that I've been giving, so that you kind of know already this Grand Cross is about needing change, we're being pulled in all these different directions. It creates stress. We need to shift something in our lives. We need to find creative solutions in our lives so that we can make these energies work with each other. And we need to move towards a sense of peaceful resolution, so that we can move to the next level in our spiritual and human evolution, right? Now, Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus, is adding its influence to this Grand Cross. And so this is a new thing with this particular full moon. Venus joins Uranus in Aries. And this combination really invites us to find a renewed connection to our hearts. It's all about the heart energy, how we receive love, how we value love, how we connect to other people, how we connect to ourselves, how we can find a renewed sense of self-worth with ourselves. And so we really need to be brave here. You know, the Venus in Aries says, be brave. You know, Venus connected to Uranus says, break away from old limiting ways of how you look at relationships and how you look at how you value yourself. But Venus in Aries also gives us bravery. It helps us to lead. It helps us to be in the forefront and create new ways of doing things. Now, we also need to see with that Venus placement that we are the ones creating our lives. We are doing this. Whatever we're doing, however open we are or however closed off we are to receiving love or giving love, that's our doing, and this is what also manifests things in our lives. Now, Mars, which is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, is also very important with this full moon, and it's stationing in Libra at this time. So there's sort of an exalted feeling to Mars right now, and we're really wanting to move forward with our projects, with the things in our lives, and in particular with the things that we've learned since the retrograde phase started on March 1st. We've learned a lot since then. We've internally connected to that Mars energy. And now we're ready to move forward with all the things that we've learned. However, Mars won't be direct until May 19th. So we may feel that push of wanting to move forward, but really on May 19th, when Mars actually goes direct, that's when we're getting the free pass to really move forward. So remember to just be patient and to not get too frustrated until May 19th, because you are feeling that force of needing to move forward with some stuff in your life. Now, Mars and Venus are in each other's sign at the time of the full moon. Now, that's called a mutual reception, and that means that these two energies are actually supporting each other in what they're trying to do right now. So this is really, because they're opposite each other, it has to do with finding this balance between the masculine and the feminine within ourselves and in our lives. You know, making sure that we're able to let our heart, which is the more feminine expression, which is the Venus expression, to let our heart guide our actions. And the actions, of course, is the Mars energy. So Venus in Aries needs to lead. It's the leading force here. And Mars in Libra needs to collaborate with that Venus energy, needs to collaborate with what we're wanting to do from our heart, from a heart place. Now, there's another aspect, which is Venus is in a challenging aspect with Pluto. And Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. So this is also a very important aspect in this full moon configuration. Now, any kind of challenging aspect that's which is a square, is asking us to stretch and grow. It's asking us to really kind of expand how we've been doing things in the past. And so with the Venus-Pluto connection, that means we need to really stay grounded in love, not fear. This is very important. We need to remain flexible. We need to remain open-minded. If we're not able to stay grounded in love, we may experience some very intense things with other people, you know, or within ourselves. There may be a lot of fighting that can occur, you know, if we're not able to open up to that love place in us. Now, Venus represents relationships and what we value. So there is definitely, with that Pluto connection, there is a major transformation that we're undergoing right now, internally and also externally. So in terms of how we value ourselves, in terms of how we connect to our physical body, in terms of how we connect to other people, to our relationships, to love, to our heart, we're undergoing a transformation right now. And the more we're able to open up to that, and the more we're able to allow that transformation to take place, the less we're going to struggle with this. Now, we need to kind of find a way to really allow for things to come up from below the surface. Now, the way Pluto works with transformation is there's things that are suppressed, there's things that are buried underneath the surface on an emotional level. And these are the things that need to be dealt with. These are the things that need to come to the light. We need to let them come up into our consciousness. We need to see them, look at them, deal with them on a conscious level. And that's how once we can embrace all of those things, we're able to really empower ourselves and empower other people in our lives. So the key really here is to allow things to surface, to use empowerment rather than disempowerment, and to really focus on love rather than fear. Now, we may become a little bit obsessed with other people in our lives, with relationships, with our commitments. This is part of the Pluto energy as well. But you need to look to see, like, why am I feeling obsessed with this other person? Or why am I feeling obsessed with something in my life right now? And you need to look at the underlying fear that's connected to that obsession. Because a lot of times when we do get obsessed with something, there is a fear factor there. And this is really what we want to look at right now with this full moon, is our fears. What are we scared about? Why do we get so attached and so clingy and so obsessed about things? Why do we get so defensive? Because we're scared. And if we can open up our heart, and if we can allow this transformation to take place towards a more stronger love connection with ourselves, and trusting that we are strong enough to handle what we need to handle, because we are. Deep down inside of us, we have so much strength, we have so much power, but we need to connect to that power through love, not through fear. And this is really important with this full moon. So that's how we can evolve to the next level. Now, the moon in Scorpio also connects to Saturn in Scorpio at the time of the full moon. So this is bringing a clear message from the universe that we need to use this Scorpio energy with responsibility. We need to be grown-ups here. We need to face the truth of things. We need to be realistic and diligent in what we're doing, and that's how we can manifest the things that we desire. Now, the only thing that's really going to get in our way, I'm going to say it again, are our own fears. If we get scared and if we buy into those fears, and if we let these fears guide us, and if we focus too much on that, that's when we get stuck. And that's when we're not going to be able to manifest the things we desire. But if we are able to focus on what we want and putting a passionate spin to that, if we're able to connect to the passion, to the love that we have for what we want, if we want to move into that future in that way, that energy is going to propel us forward, and we're going to be able to manifest the things we truly desire. Because Moon in Scorpio is a very strong manifestation force. So just remember to stick with love rather than fear. This is really the key. Now, the thing that's really going to help us with this full moon is the harmonious Jupiter-Chiron aspect that's taking place at that time of the full moon, and also Jupiter making a harmonious aspect to Saturn as well, and Saturn connecting to Chiron. So those three planets are actually in a grand trine with each other at the time of the full moon, and this is really going to help us to allow our connection to our feelings to be more stable, to be more real, to be more okay with it, to be able to perceive it differently, to have more of a peaceful connection to our wounds, to our insecurities, to allow feelings to surface, to just let it be okay and to not be so scared. We're really able to connect here with our feelings in a more positive way, and we're able to see them as a gift, to see the old wounding that we've experienced in childhood as a gift, rather than as something that's holding us back. So this is a really powerful, positive force that's part of this full moon energy. And so, again, allowing ourselves to let these feelings surface. Anything that needs to surface right now, allow that to surface. Embrace it. really embrace all of who you are. This is really what's giving us strength right now and what's empowering us right now. Now, if you have 22 to 26 degrees of planets or points in your personal natal chart, in your birth chart, in Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, then you are certainly going to feel this full moon much more strongly, and you're really needing to implement everything that I talked about in a more conscious, more powerful way. Now, all of us will feel this full moon somewhere in our chart, and we all will need to move through these energies in a way with other people in our lives or within ourselves. But we are all being invited to really focus more fully on that power of love that is within us, that is guiding us, rather than on the power of fear. Because fear can be very powerful, but so can love. And one cannot exist without the other. Like, you cannot be in a powerful love place and get scared. You can only be in that powerful love place. But you can be in a powerful fear place without feeling that love. So it's one or the other. It's really, that's why Scorpio is so black and white in a sense. It's either love or it's fear. Choose which one you want to stick to and which one you want to manifest from. Now, this particular full moon is also the end of eclipse season. Yay, eclipse season is over. So hopefully all of us were able to receive our upgrades gracefully, and we're able to move into a new direction in our lives and able to turn the corner in a good way and move towards that next level of evolution with these eclipses. It's been a long ride. This is something that we've been experiencing now since the beginning of March. So hopefully we're able to get through this bumpy ride with no big bruises attached. And so just remember that with this full moon, open your heart. Be conscious of all your fears. Name them. See them for what they are. Connect to your feelings. Connect to your passions. Don't be afraid to do so, because this is really, all of this is happening for our highest good. And any kind of attachments and resistances that we're still having in our lives, that we're still holding, anything that we're still holding on to, that's connected to a fearful place, that's really not serving us anymore. It's keeping us in an old paradigm. It's not helping us move to the next level. So by letting go and by surrendering our fears and our old habits and our limiting habits and behaviors, we're really going to be moving to a much more beautiful place. And we need to trust that. We need to trust that this is us moving to our higher path and bringing us closer to the light, to a more lightful place. And that the darkness is the way we have to go through to get to that light. Being in darkness is not a bad thing to be in. It just means that we're needing to experience something so we can get to that. It's like going through a tunnel. You go through a tunnel and it's dark for a while, but you see the end of the tunnel. You see that light coming through. And as you get closer and closer and closer, it gets more and more bright. And so by walking through that darkness, we're ending up in that light place. And so that's why we need to embrace all of it, everything, every experience that we're having. It brings us closer to the light. And this is the message really with this full moon. So embrace as much as you can. Keep breathing. Allow for everything to just let it be, let it go. And you will arrive in that great place. All right, so have a great full moon, and I will be back very soon. This is Astrologer Coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.